Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the FTW podcast. FTW is a weekly WWE and TNA discussion where fans talk about wrestling and the wrestling world in all of its laughable glory. This episode is episode 227, Hello Jackie, recorded live on August 12th, 2014 on FTWLive.com. Tonight we are going to be previewing this Sunday's WWE SummerSlam event better than WWE can do. We'll take a look at all the matches, the builds, the predictions, and we'll have a good, fun time with it. Maybe we'll talk some TNA and NXT as well. With me tonight is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
It's yourself.
Yeah. And everybody else on the podcast, that would be you guys. That would be the listeners, the live chat hooligans. It's time to sit back and talk some wrestling. I am Joe. I'll be moderating tonight's conversation. If you're listening live, say hi and leave your thoughts and comments throughout the conversation tonight. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like. On Twitter, use hashtag FTWLive, and we'll probably end up ignoring it because there's only two of us, and there's only so much we can manage tonight. Get in the live chat if you're listening live. Check us out at mixler.com/FTWpodcast, FTWlive.com. Get involved. Talk to us. You get guys like Styles Clash in the live chat, Robert Carmichael, and even Garvin, who's not feeling well. He's got to go have his bubba and watch some Columbo. So, there you go. So, Nick.
Yes, sir.
What is there to talk about for WWE leading up to SummerSlam but Raw? One thing I wanted to touch on, Brie versus Stephanie, now with added Lynch clinch.
Yeah, that was special.
Is that like a hot poker in the eye to TNA? Like, we're going to hire your bad acting and still do it a little bit better?
I don't know if that was a shot at TNA, but it definitely reminded me of that god-awful angle. It's interesting because at least they picked an indie wrestler to fill that spot, and apparently she's at the Performance Center looking to get into NXT. But yeah, between that segment and the arrest, that pretty much killed any interest I had in this match at SummerSlam. It's not looking good, and yesterday kind of killed any faith that I had that they were actually going to make this interesting.
I don't think it really killed it for me. I don't think it was a smart move to have her do the role. It's tough because I get the angle they're going with, and Robert Carmichael says in the live chat, dumb move by WWE, making Daniel Bryan as a cheater. But they're really not, because it's just Stephanie saying it and this girl saying it. I mean, it's like Alicia Fox and Edge. That kind of, well, I guess that did happen. But, it's always hearsay.
Yeah, I get what they were trying to do. Steph was baiting Brie into getting herself arrested, and, I mean, it worked, but I don't know. It just seems like tit for tat without much imagination to it. I mean, Brie got Steph arrested, and Steph got Brie arrested. It doesn't really seem like an escalation so much as, oh, I can't think of anything better, so let's just do this again.
I can agree with that one for sure. Does it? So you're saying this actually hurt your view of the angle?
Yeah, it's again, it does make sense. It's just it doesn't seem like they're really putting a whole lot of thought into this. It seems like they just kind of stumbled their way to this point. And while I actually enjoyed most of it up till now, I don't know. It's starting to seem more like dumb luck than actual planning. So that does kind of ruin it a little bit for me.
Okay, fair enough. It doesn't really hurt it for me. I was just more surprised that Claire Lynch was on the same show as AJ Lee, who, as we've decreed, does the Lynch clinch as her finisher. So, it's part of that FTW love. So, moving on, Hogan's birthday party. Was it awesome or was it a flop? Did you like anything about it? And is Cena the next Hogan with him wearing the red and yellow now?
It was pretty cool. It was nice to see those old names get trotted out. I wasn't expecting Mr. Wonderful to come out at all.
That was awesome. That was cool to see.
Yeah, as for Cena being the next Hogan, it makes sense. He's the biggest draw WWE has, biggest merch seller, definitely the same kind of MO. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, that kind of thing. And him having the red and yellow now is just kind of a symbolic deal to kind of announce what we basically already knew. I did like Brock Lesnar coming in to interrupt things. This probably marks one of the few occasions where Lesnar had something worthwhile to say. The party's over, Grandpa. I like how he just left it at that. So, yeah, overall, it was a decent way to end the show.
See, I'm with you on the Lesnar interruption. Unfortunately, I'm not with you on it being a good segment. I loved seeing Mr. Wonderful too, but you had Jimmy Hart, you had the NWO, and well, I know that some people in the live chat were very, very happy. Like Robert Carmichael loved the NWO reunion. I thought it was pretty piss poor because everybody coming out was just not in good shape. Everybody looked worn. And you knew no one was going to stand up to Lesnar at all. I mean, you knew Hogan wasn't taking a bump. I mean, how badly did you want to see Hogan take the F5? Because I sure as hell did. I was waiting. I was like, come on, let this be the one bump that he allows to happen and possibly dies. Not that I'm wishing Hogan's death. I'm just saying it would probably kill him.
Yeah, that was pretty much the first thing I thought when I heard Lesnar's music hit. Is that, oh shit, there's about to be a lot of broken hips. And realistically, I would have enjoyed Kevin Nash taking an F5 a little bit more than I probably should have, because he just has to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk shit about everybody. But yeah, I see what you're saying about nobody really looking that great, and it was kind of painful to watch Paul Orndorff walk down the ramp or try to move around on the ramp. They didn't look that great at all, with the exception of Ric Flair. I think he's actually looking better now than he has in the past couple of years.
Well, that's what rehab and not being in the ring will do for you. Piper did look good. Piper still seemed to be fit. But Styles Clash in the live chat asks, would it have been better if Sting had made the save instead of Cena, giving all the guys bats? Could have been good. My personal opinion, no, it would not have been good. Only if you're expecting Sting to be in the ring at SummerSlam, or have an involvement at SummerSlam, or in the next, 3 months, which I don't expect to see.
Yeah, I don't really remember where Raw was coming out of last night, but I would have expected, if Sting is going to make an appearance at all this week, it is going to be at SummerSlam. It's because it's going to be right in his backyard. It wouldn't really have made sense for Sting to make the save against Lesnar. If this had just been some random throwaway segment without any bearing on the main event at all, like say if Heath Slater come back to be the jobber to the Legends, yeah, it would have made a little more sense for Sting to come out then. But with any bearing on the main event scene, no, Sting doesn't really have a place there.
There we go. Yeah, I completely agree. So, and since I didn't chime in at Hogan being Cena being the next Hogan, yeah, you're right. He pretty much is already. It just happened that he has finally spun the color wheel enough times to get this particular combination. Yay, Fruity Pebbles. So, Nick, do you feel the WWE spent enough time on the go-home show to build up SummerSlam?
Yeah, they certainly spent enough time doing that. I'm not sure how great of a job they did. Um, some feuds I'm interested in, some I'm not. Like I mentioned before, I'm not really looking forward to Brie versus Stephanie anymore. But Brock versus Lesnar has that big fight feel now. Between all of Paul Heyman's work put into it, Cena's promo was pretty decent, and Lesnar's promos, the video packages, those have been pretty good also. Again, it's got that big fight feel to it. I'm definitely looking forward to that. On the mid card, I'm really excited about Ziggler versus Miz. Those two have great chemistry together, and they've been knocking it out of the park. And I especially loved the bit where Miz just stood on top of the announcer's table for the whole duration of Ziggler's match with Slater. I thought that was genius, and it just highlights just how smug and arrogant the Miz is, and how much you really want to wipe that smirk off his face. And it kind of makes me like the Miz a little bit more. I just love heel Miz.
Yeah, heel Miz is always entertaining. There's never been a bad time for heel Miz. Yeah, you're right, and you're right. The promos for Cena Lesnar does give it that feel of a bigger fight, because that is the fight of the juggernauts. There's nothing on this card that's going to match up. I mean, Rusev versus Swagger? No way. Reigns versus Orton's got some potential. Actually, I think the sleeper hit that's coming out of this, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, that looks like it's going to be good. But I mean, we can break into each match individually here. So getting into SummerSlam, the full-on SummerSlam, everything's going on. Still possible since we've got no kickoff match announced yet. So it's quite possible we might get one of these four matches. Usos versus either the Rhodes Brothers or Ryback, or possibly both. We have a U.S. Championship match that's a possibility. Sheamus versus whoever. Bo Dallas versus R-Truth. Fandango versus Diego. We'll just quickly predict these. Nick, what do you think for a tag team match?
I'm thinking that if that match happens, it's going to be the Dust Brothers, because they've been building up that team more and more, and they've been making it clearer and clearer that the Cosmic Key translates to the tag titles, and that's what they want now. The Usos, I liked them against the Wyatts, but they haven't really been doing much. And I think they've had a decent enough reign, and definitely some awesome matches during that reign. I think they've done what they can with the tag titles for now. So I think they should keep the titles fresh, they should keep the champs fresh, and I think they should go ahead and rotate it to the Rhodes Brothers. And I really do think that if this match happens, it is going to be triple threat. I think Ryback is going to be in there, and which will make it a bit more interesting than just Cody and Goldust versus the Usos. Ryback will make it a little more interesting, especially given the turn Ryback's taken. He just throws a little gem now and then that makes you wonder why he really couldn't have made that push to the top work.
That's a valid point, my friend. I'm thinking that Ryback would actually win, especially if it's a triple threat. Only because the Usos and the Dust Brothers are both, they're both face teams, and unless like you said, if it's a triple threat, then there's a possibility of the Dust getting the titles. But I think it's going to be on the hands of Ryback. That way, Goldust and Stardust can feud there for it, and then once they get it, then you can bring the Wyatts back into the fold. And in the meantime, Ryback could also face off against Slater Gator. You can't forget Slater Gator.
That's true. I shouldn't be forgetting them.
But so I'm gonna go. I'm going with Ryback. You're going with the Dust Brothers. And then we can move on. We can move on to possible Sheamus match for the U.S. Championship against who? Who do you think they'd face?
I think I want to say Heath Slater because he's had, yeah, there's the team up of Slater Gator, but when he's been appearing on Raw, it's been by himself, and he's actually on a little bit of a singles role. He beat Rollins and he beat Ziggler. Sure, they were both distraction wins, but I mean he is on a little bit of a winning streak, and I can see him stepping up and challenging Sheamus to kind of take advantage of that.
I could see it, but I don't think it necessarily fits just yet. I think he's going to have to get another decent win under his belt. I think it would be for a future pay-per-view build-up, maybe even the next pay-per-view, but not SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's fair.
In the live chat, Robert's bringing up Bo Dallas as a possible feud for Sheamus. I don't necessarily see that because I figure there's going to be another match with R-Truth, which is the next possible match we're gonna predict. But so you're thinking Slater? You going with Sheamus or Slater, Nick?
I'm going with Sheamus to win.
As much as I can't stand Sheamus, I would agree. So Bo Dallas versus R-Truth. Nick, what do you think?
That's a little bit difficult. I can't recall who has the edge in terms of wins. I want to say it's R-Truth, but I also recall that Bo Dallas has kind of gotten his own back with a win. So if they go at it, I can't see any scenario where R-Truth comes out on top at the end of it.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to go with Bo.
I am also going with Bo, as is Garvin, since he managed to get his predictions in. Thank you, Garvin. Sucks to be anybody else on the show who didn't get their predictions in. Which brings us to the other possible match, Fandango versus Diego. Do you continue to see Fandango sink, or does Fandango finally get his comeuppance over a member of Los Matadores?
It's got to be Diego, hands down, because Summer Rae and Layla are going to get involved, and they're going to distract Fandango, and I really don't see Fandango making any kind of resurgence here. I think it's a spiral into either getting repackaged or disappearing entirely, which I hope he just gets repackaged, because he's too good at the talent to let go to the wayside. But with the WWE cutting people left and right, I don't know if he disappears from TV, it's more likely that he's going to get let go at this point.
I don't want him to be let go because I do think he's very talented. But yeah, the gimmick's running its course, and Fandango, it just isn't working. They're going to need to do something different with him. And I mean, the only thing I can think of is they break up Slater Gator and put him with Slater. You got the one-man band. Get Fandango to rock out with it. Other ideas coming up at the live chat. Fandango turns face and teams with Adam Rose. I don't necessarily see that one happening.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, Johnny Curtis could kind of pull that off, but yeah, I don't see the Fandango character making that jump.
No, I mean it's a possibility, but yeah, no, it's a. I mean, weirder things have happened. I mean, we do have Slater Gator.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear the sort of stories that Curtis tells, I think it was in a show on The Art of Wrestling, about how he went to the back after a match in developmental, and they had a party in the ring. And he's like, "These motherfuckers having a party without me," and he's basically in his undertrunks. So he just decides to run out there in his undertrunks, and basically naked, and he's just jumping around in the ring having a good time. So, I mean, obviously he can pull off the party boy gimmick. It just remains to be seen whether the WWE would allow it.
Fair enough. And just for the record, you're going with Diego. Well, I'm going with Fandango.
Yes.
Alrighty, so now we move on to the official card. Our first match we're going to talk about is AJ versus Paige. Nick, how do you feel about the build-up? Has it been good? Who do you think's going to win, and why?
I like the build-up that AJ and Paige have put on. I was kind of uncertain as to where they were going for a couple of weeks, and that uncertainty mostly came from the commentary team, which I mean I really shouldn't have been paying any attention to them because Paige has made it blatantly obvious that she's just screwing with AJ with the whole skipping gimmick and the whole frenemy shtick. Whereas commentary, if they're dealing with a heel diva, she's either a crazy bitch or she's just a mean girl. And it's insulting, frankly, to the divas because AJ and Paige particularly are so much more than just being boiled down to those two hack to death stereotypes. Again, Paige and AJ are doing a great job with this feud, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I think Paige is going to walk out with the title here, simply due to the fact that she's been on top of things and a step ahead this whole time, and it kind of makes sense. I think since AJ won last time, Paige needs a win. Well, maybe she doesn't need a win. Maybe need is too strong a word for it, but it would kind of fit for those two to be battling back and forth over the title.
Yeah, well, I think the build-up for this one's been pretty good. I do like the back and forth. I do like the Paige messing with AJ a lot. The poetry that was on Raw was fantastic. All but a bit hokey, but it worked. It worked for Paige, and yeah, I mean, I would like to see these two keep going at it and have it go back and forth. But since there's nothing else for them to do, it's going to get stale quick because there really isn't anybody. I mean, Alicia Fox had the crazy gimmick, and you're right, anybody who's a heel is either a bitch or bam, you get the crazy bitch. So, little column A, little column B. I think that AJ and Paige can do a bit to change those stereotypes, but the problem is they're just going to have other people fill them fully. That being said, I'm going with Paige. I think AJ. I mean, she just came back abruptly, and unless she's got something up her sleeve, I don't think she's going to. I don't think she's going to keep the title. It almost seems like she was brought in because they had no one else to possibly go against Paige right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, the live chat. Deuce is saying Paige isn't going to win yet. Robert's saying that Paige will cheat to win and build more of the feud with AJ. And Robert's going on to say, I can see a big payoff ending with a street fight or a Diva Hell in a Cell. If anybody could do a Hell in a Cell or a cage match, I think they'd probably go cage match before a Hell in a Cell. But if any divas currently on the roster could do it, I think it's these two.
Oh yeah, Paige is made for a cage match. It simply fits the brutality that's in her moveset. With the headbutts and the knee strikes on the apron, I mean, it fits.
Yes, it does. So, let me take one quick pop in. And, yeah, so Then we've got one vote for AJ to win from Brizzy Jones. So yeah, it seems like everybody's thinking though that it's going to be Paige. Moving on to the Intercontinental Championship match, Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. Uh, it's been a decent build-up for what they've been doing. Ziggler's going to sell the shit out of it. Miz is going to be a cocky asshole. I'm thinking Miz is going to retain to hopefully try and help build the IC title because there's really not a whole lot of action going on. I could see Ziggler winning it another time, but I don't know. I don't feel the WWE's built this one up enough.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. There's not a big enough, I guess, rivalry yet. Maybe rivalry is not the word for it because these two have fought a lot, and there is a pretty established rivalry. But yeah, it's just seems like it's too soon for Ziggler to go over and take the title. I think Miz needs more time to heal it up, cheat to win, either hold on to the ropes or pull the tights by hook or by crook. I think he needs to win this match in order for Ziggler's final win to mean that much more to us.
So Styles Clash is saying it's going to be Miz on Sunday, but Dolph at the next pay-per-view. Can you see him going that way, or do you think they're going to drop it after this?
Next pay-per-view is Night of Champions, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Could be. I could see them even dragging it out till Hell in a Cell. I don't know if that'd be too long or not, but yeah, I could see Ziggler going over at Night of Champions.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and maybe they'll have something better to go with for the division, or for what we would consider to be the mid card. Because there really isn't a division with the Intercontinental Championship. Because I also talk out of my ass. Rusev versus Jack Swagger in a flag match, and just for clarification, the first superstar to incapacitate his opponent enough so that he can scale the turnbuckles and capture his own flag will be declared the victor. Nick, what do you think about this match?
This is one where I've liked the build between Swagger and Rusev for the most part, but I don't really like the stipulation here. It doesn't really make much sense with these two guys. For one thing, they got to scale the turnbuckles, which neither of them really do. I maybe I'm hung up on the fact that I would prefer some kind of submission match a lot more to anything else, or at least something where a submission would have made sense because these two are submission-centric wrestlers. Swagger with the ankle lock and Rusev with the accolade. When you consider just the storyline perspective of U.S. versus Russia, yeah, having a flag factor into it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't really factor into either wrestler's moveset. It doesn't fit in with their character all that much. So I'm looking forward to a possible resolution to this feud, but I guess we'll just see how well they make this work.
What, you don't think this gimmick's going to be the end all be all of it? No, I think the build up for this match has been decent. It's been entertaining to say the least. It's had its segments, but I don't know. I mean, Swagger's going to win this, in my opinion, for sure. And it's being brought up in the live chat that Rusev can lose and still bounce back. Swagger can win the title or win the match because he's getting a flag. He is not having to pin Rusev. And that is a valid point. And I think Swagger is going to win because it's SummerSlam, it's summer, it's been the time of, celebrating America because it's right around when we used to have the Great American Bash. Uh, I just feel that the WWE's always targeted SummerSlam as to be a very patriotic pay-per-view when they could pull it off. And yeah, I think Swagger is definitely going to win. Now, it's not going to say that Swagger might not climb the pole, grab Rusev's flag, and then beat the tar out of Rusev with his own flag, and then go grab his own flag. Because that doesn't end the match until he grabs his own flag. If he grabs Rusev's flag, hey, the match still continues. But then you throw in the X factor of what if Rusev grabs his flag? It's already down. Oh no, and I might have just talked myself into picking Rusev. No, I'm gonna stick with Swagger on this one.
Yeah, as I think about it, I think it can work. I like the idea of Swagger putting Rusev in the ankle lock so that Rusev can't stop him from climbing the turnbuckle. Or I guess even if you wanted to, if you're going to pick Rusev like Garvin did, I guess you could maybe come up with a scenario where Rusev slaps on the accolade and breaks Swagger's back and makes him humble so that he can't go after Rusev. A submission would definitely slow down your opponent enough so that you could climb the turnbuckles. So yeah, I'm warming up to the idea more now.
So are you changing your vote?
No, Swagger will not be made humble in this match. He will slap on the Patriot Lock and he will be the victor. And hooray, beer and apple pie and Betty Grable.
We, the people. Also, I liked it better when it was called the Patriot Act. But then there's that entire government spying on us thing, and yeah. Alrighty, so we can move on from that one. Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. This one actually, I think, is going to be a decent match. After drunken conversations with Garvin, I'm warming up to the fact that Randy Orton is a good worker. He's got his own style to it. And while I don't find it terribly inventive anymore, it's borderline 5 moves to doom here. I'm thinking we're going to see Roman Reigns get the win. Orton's going to get really pissed off, and he's going to have to find some way to battle back, so he might eventually get that title shot. Maybe team up with Christian. They can both go for one more match.
Yeah, Orton's definitely found something that works for him, and it gets a response from the crowd, which ultimately is the end goal. I imagine this match will be decent. It's not going to blow anybody's minds, I don't think, given that Orton does have basically 5 moves of doom, and Reigns isn't much better when it comes to movesets. But both of these guys are over with the crowd to an insane degree. So, yeah, it's gonna get the job done. It's gonna put on a good match, and I'm with you. I think Reigns is gonna pull out the win here, which I'm not sure how Orton will respond because he's already gotten the mission order from Triple H. If he wants a title shot, he's got to beat the shit out of Roman Reigns so that he never comes back. And if Reigns wins at SummerSlam, there's not really a way that I can think of that Orton can come back with something bigger. So it leaves Orton in something of a predicament, but I don't really care much about Orton, so I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I'm kind of in that boat too, but I definitely see Orton losing the match, but maybe post-match beating the crap out of Reigns with a chair to attempt to incapacitate him enough to get a title shot. Styles Clash in the live chat says you can see Kane costing Orton the match. Steven says easiest prediction of the night and possibly the year, Reigns is going to win. Robert Carmichael says Reigns. And Styles Clash brings up the RKO last night was pretty sweet. And Robert chimes in because we only have a few people talking in the chat here. Orton can RKO Triple H for a face turn. Do we really want a Randy Orton face turn? Seriously? I don't. It was one of the worst segments of Randy Orton's history, and that includes him shitting in a bag.
No, we need heel Randy Orton. We need top heels. We've already got top faces to an inordinate degree. We've got Cena, we've got Reigns, we've got Ambrose. We will have Daniel Bryan, hopefully. There's not really a top heel. Lesnar, kinda, but he's only around some of the time. Orton, as much as I don't care for the guy, he is a top heel. So we need him to remain heel. And if anything, we need him to go even darker as a heel. We need Randy Orton that will punt the shit out of somebody's head. Maybe that's what he needs to do if Reigns beats him. Maybe he goes back to the actual Viper where he just didn't give a shit and he just punts somebody and concusses them in kayfabe. Hopefully just in kayfabe. We don't need any more injuries at this point.
Yeah, we need Black Death Metal Orton again. We need something from him, something darker. Making out with the boss's wife, then giving her the hanging DDT through the middle rope. That was cool. The fact that he does hanging DDT to everyone now is lame as hell. Makes it less special. It used to be a cool move, much like the punt. I'm hoping we're getting more toward the punting Orton, the I'm going to kill you Orton, the devastating Orton. Don't think we're necessarily going to get it because, well, PG era.
Yeah. I mean, if there's any character we need for commentary to go on and on about how crazy they are, it's Orton. I mean, we need frothing at the mouth while he's throwing a tantrum all over the mat before he hits the RKO Orton.
Yeah, but if we get that, we're, as Styles Clash says, it's vintage Orton. We're also going to get Randy Orton who pounds his fists into the mat and blows out his shoulders. So he's going to gnash his own shoulders if we want that vintage. We don't necessarily want that vintage unless we want him off TV.
I can live with that.
Yeah, fair enough. That being said, I'm taking Orton. Remember, I'm taking Reigns. Garvin's taking Reigns. Nick?
I'm taking Reigns.
All right, just wanted to make it podcast official. Now, bitch versus bitch. Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon. Why is it bitch versus bitch? Because, well, really, there's always a period of time where anybody can be a bitch. So, Nick, how do you feel about this match, and who are you taking?
I'm not as excited as I was before. Like I've been saying. I think Brie's gonna walk away with the win here. If only because I think this is one where the WWE is gonna fall back on 50-50 booking. And since Stephanie had the last parting shot on Raw with the arrest, I think Brie's gonna come back and get the win here. What that does for the idea that I've been having that Nikki's going to turn on Brie and cost her the match, I'm not sure if that'll happen anymore. For one thing, I'm not sure that the WWE is thinking that far ahead for something that would make an angle interesting like that, to have the sibling turn on her. But I mean, it also wouldn't really make sense if Brie were to win. So, yeah, I'm not really counting on that happening anymore. I think Brie's just going to straight up win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think Brie's going to win. Garvin saying Stephanie McMahon, I can see that, because you could have a distraction. Deuce is saying no matter who wins, we all lose. I can understand that vantage point. Whereas James says Brie's going to win properly after some failed interference from the Helmsley party. Ooh, what if they were a political party, not just Mrs. McMahon? I am the Communist Party. I'm the McMahon Party. I am the rent that's too damn high party. Robert Carmichael saying Brie's going to win with the yes lock. That would be nice. I would like to see her hit the flying headbutt just for fun, and then have her go out for the neck injury that her husband went out with. Question brought up in the live chat: do we see Daniel Bryan at any point? I'm thinking no.
Yeah, I'd be incredibly surprised if he did show up. Because if he showed up, I'd want him to somehow get involved, and that wouldn't fit, I don't think.
I mean, I see the possibility of it, especially when you have, the allegations of that he's being cheated on, or he's cheating on Brie with Claire Lynch, because I refuse to acknowledge her WWE name. It's Claire Lynch. It's just going to have to.
I just want to make it clear, they're actually not the same person.
Oh, I thought they were.
Oh no. Turns out the WWE's version is actually an indie wrestler named Jada. Claire Lynch was just some random employee at Universal. So I mean, they both have dead porn star eyes, according to Reddit, but.
And the inability to act, because damn.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that everyone seemed to think it was Claire Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, the resemblance is uncanny. I'll grant you that.
Somebody better do their research and just make sure, because damn. But yeah, I mean, we could see interference from her to get Stephanie the win. It's always a possibility, but no, I think Brie's going to win this, and I mean the story is not done, but I think Brie's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, since I don't think we have much more to say on that. What could be the sleeper match of the night? Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins in a lumberjack match. Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting. I do like the lumberjack stipulation. It does seem to be. It seems to be sort of a what could be a feud ender, just because there's no excuses, no leaving early in the ring, or leaving early from the match rather. I don't think the feud is going to end here, though. I think Rollins is going to pull out the win against all odds, and I think that's just going to push Ambrose closer to the edge. Because as insane as Ambrose has been, hiding in trunks and boxes in order to ambush Rollins, I don't think he's gone as far as he can yet. So I have no idea how Ambrose could go farther, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he will. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think Ambrose is going to go further and further towards the fringe of lunacy, as Michael Cole likes to put it. And I think Rollins will pull out the win here.
This can go either way. The fact that there's lumberjacks, I mean, we don't know who the lumberjacks are. That ends up being part of the problem. Are they a bunch of heels? If so, it definitely looks like it's going to go the way of Rollins. But I think Ambrose is going to win this. I even think Kane's going to get involved as one of the lumberjacks, but I think it's going to backfire on Rollins, and I think Ambrose will either end up capitalizing or Kane will get pissed off because maybe Rollins hits him. So Kane will demolish Rollins, leaving Ambrose open to get the pin. There's a lot of weird things that can happen with a lumberjack match. Because you always have the one side of the ring is the faces, one side of the ring is the heels, unless they're all one faction, but that doesn't seem to ever happen anymore. Speculation from the live chat. uh, that the lumberjack match is lame, that this feud isn't ending here, which does make a lot of sense. Dean Ambrose is going to win. The fact they didn't let Ambrose make Rollins put the case up for grabs says everything. That is a great point, Deuce, because, yeah, if that's not on the line, it doesn't matter who gets the win. It's bragging rights at that point. And nobody needs to watch that pay-per-view.
One interesting thing is I'm betting on RVD being one of the lumberjacks, and he'll probably play a factor in this match. In fact, I could see him being the guy to cost Rollins the match. It's as a possibility. I'm still betting on Rollins to win, but yeah, I'm certain that RVD is going to have a role in this match, just given the fact that he and Rollins have been crossing paths basically ever since Rollins turned heel.
Yeah, I could see that, and that could be an interesting factor too. I mean, RVD could be the equalizer to Kane to allow these two guys to go on. Then we also have what we started to think could have been the new Nation of Domination. They could be out there as well. You could spawn some weird stuff off this match because of the X factor of having so many people around the damn ring. That being said, yeah, just to make it clear, my pick is Dean Ambrose, as is Garvin's, and Nick, you're still sticking with Seth?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. In one of the better talking segment matches, we have Bray Wyatt versus Chris Jericho. Both guys are great on the mic, and I can't help but say Bray Wyatt's going to win this one, with Jericho getting the first and Bray being so much better, especially on that segment on Raw where they were just sitting across from each other. Jericho barely said anything. Wyatt needs the win. Wyatt was so much better on the mic. We need Wyatt to get the win. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And this is the perfect opportunity for Wyatt to score a big pay-per-view win, especially since he's going to be out there all by himself. With Jericho taking Rowan and Harper out of the equation, this is probably the best opportunity Bray will ever have to show that he can stand on his own two legs. And it is desperately needed at this point. Because any win that Bray Wyatt has had, it's almost always been because Wyatt or Harper and Rowan get involved. So in order for Bray to really grow and be more accepted as a wrestler, he needs singles wins. He needs to show that he can survive without his family. And I honestly think this is where he's going to do that.
Yeah, the live chat does agree. Wyatt does need to win this one. Wyatt has to win this one. Bray Wyatt for the win. Robert Carmichael brings up an interesting thought. Bray Wyatt, either a clean win or bring some kid to distract Jericho just like he did at Extreme Rules. I could see something like that. Deuce brings up the real interesting point. Would love to see Jericho lose, but in a fit of post-match delirium joins the family.
Why?
I don't know.
And
I'm
not sure I like the idea of a kid intervening again. With Jericho, it doesn't make sense. With Cena, it did because Cena was fighting for the people. He was fighting so that Bray's influence wouldn't spread any further than it had. And Bray using children to his advantage fit with that storytelling. Jericho, we still haven't really gotten a full explanation of why Jericho has gone after the Wyatts yet. But yeah, he hasn't really spoken about him fighting for us, him fighting, him thinking of the children. It's just Jericho versus Wyatt, and having a kid in a black robe singing "He's got the whole world in his hands" wouldn't really affect Jericho, because Jericho would probably just yell "Yeah, baby!" right back at him and just keep on doing what he's doing.
Yeah, good point. I don't see them. I don't see him joining. I don't think the family needs anyone else. I really don't. They're good as it is. If it gets too big, then you just get that like, then you'll have like, you know, the Latino Wyatt family and the Blue Wyatt family. It just gets too extraneous and really burns out the gimmick.
How
So,
ridiculous would a team of Blue Meanie and Bray Wyatt be?
or the Mexicools and Bray Wyatt.
Now, with that said, I have seen some interesting speculation about a tweet Bray Wyatt sent out. Very cryptic, very, very strange, but there was a quote unquote hidden message, hidden meaning there were different letters capitalized throughout the message, and it came out to Hero They. And the speculation that has arisen on Squared Circle is that Chris Hero is coming back.
With the fact that they were really bitching about his weight and he looks like fucking Santa Claus right now in comparison to what he used to look like, I don't foresee that happening.
No, I don't see it either. He's definitely got the look. I think he always has during his WWE tenure, but yeah, I mean, there was never really any burning of bridges, and Hero made it sound like if there was a spot for him in the future, they'd call him back up. But yeah, I think it's just more of an interesting intellectual exercise than anything else.
Cool. So, just for the record, everyone seems to be picking Bray Wyatt. And we are going to move on to the main event. The big match, the only reason this pay-per-view seems to be happening, according to the amount of time video packages have been put in here. Hulk Hogan against Brock Lesnar. I mean, John Cena against Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Uh, you know, says he's gonna leave Cena in a pile of his own blood and vomit and urine. So, do we see that happening?
I think that's what's going to happen. I believe Lesnar's going to take the title off of Cena, and that might be the best thing to happen. Excuse me, with this title for a while, because if Lesnar sticks to his on again off again schedule, and the title isn't defended every month, it kind of harkens back to when Hogan was champ. Like when Hogan was champion, he didn't appear at every show. He didn't defend it all the time. He defended it at the big shows, and that made the title more important. And while I don't really believe the WWE is thinking exactly in those terms, I think that's kind of the effect it would have. And the way they've been pushing this match with the promos they've been doing, it seems almost inevitable that this is how it's going to happen. Yeah, Cena is the underdog. He will always he will never give up. He will never surrender. I can't see a scenario where Cena wins.
You don't. It's being brought up in the live chat that Brock Lesnar must win. Lesnar wins, no doubt. But LuTube wins brings up the point that Cena wins. Lesnar gets pissed. F5s him. Rollins cashes in. Is this a possibility, Nick? Did you think this is actually going to happen?
Oh, I wasn't thinking of Rollins cashing it in. I want to say no. Because I'm saying when, maybe I'm meaning if, but when Daniel Bryan comes back, I think it would be more impressive for him to come back against Lesnar rather than Rollins. as much as I'd enjoy Rollins winning the belt, holding the top title, even if only for a little bit, Bryan versus Rollins seems like not as big of a match. And I think they want to build Daniel Bryan to the point where he can be Cena's replacement whenever Cena goes away. And there's not really anybody more credible than Lesnar right now, especially if he does become WWE champion. And also, I really don't want Rollins to be treated as just like a stopgap measure. If he ever takes the top title, I want it to be he has a push built specifically for him for that purpose.
It's coming up in the live chat that it's time. It's way past time for a dominant heel champion. With someone like Heyman pulling the strings, it's classic. That does harken back to the Bobby the Brain Heenan days. But I don't think Bobby really managed a champion. At least not world heavyweight champion.
Not sure.
Styles Clash brings up the question: would Triple H dare to screw Lesnar over, thus turning him face? It's way too soon for Rollins, according to Deuce Loosely. Robert Carmichael says Money in the Bank and SummerSlam 2 for 2. Alberto Del Rio and Randy Orton. That's true. So that if Rollins did cash in, he's got the numbers working for him. And Funaki makes his big return and rolls up Lesnar for the win, exclusively on the WWE Network for only $9.99. Rizzy Jones.
No, Funaki's not going to come back until Kenta makes his WWE debut.
Indeed. See what I did there?
Indeed.
Hey, we can do this all night. Alrighty, so yeah, it sounds like everybody's betting on Bork Laser, and Bork Laser I think is a good bet. I hope he tells Paul Heyman to say something stupid. That'll be wonderful, and maybe we'll get an F5 to Hogan. Maybe we'll just bust his spine. Probably not. That being said, that's SummerSlam for you. That's our predictions. That's straight on through. Going with the official card, according to the way the FTW team has voted, it's going to be Paige, Miz, Swagger, Reigns, Brie Bella, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, and Bork Laser all getting the W's. We'll see how good we do if we check it out on the WWE Network. It's only $9.99, and you can go to network.wwe.com to check it out. Yeah. So we got a little bit of time here, Nick. NXT, the tag tournament, it's underway.
Yes, it is.
Who do you think's going to win?
I have a soft spot in my heart, both for Kalisto and Sin Cara, more for Kalisto than Sin Cara, and for the Vaudevillains. That's Aiden English and Simon Gotch, especially Simon Gotch. He's quickly turned into one of my favorites in the WWE right now. I'm leaning toward the Vaudevillains being the ones to take it, which is kind of weird considering that they'd be facing the Ascension. And given the dark sort of brutality that the Ascension operates with, it's weird to see what's almost a jokey team like the Vaudevillains topple them. And they're only jokey because of the gimmick, not because of their in-ring competition. Both in English and Simon Gotch are very credible contenders. It just seems weird to me for those two sets of gimmicks to face off like that. I had wished the Mechanics had made it farther than they did. For those who don't know, the Mechanics is Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. Scott Dawson is another one of my favorites. William Regal compares him to a young Arn Anderson, and when you see this guy in the ring, it's a very valid comparison. As is their team name. These two are very accomplished technicians in the ring. They make it all look very easy, and they're probably one of my favorite teams to watch now. It's just sad that they got knocked out in the first round. But yeah, for the tournament and its conclusion, I think the Vaudevillains are going to win the tournament and go on to face Ascension.
That definitely would be interesting. I'm hoping it's Sami Zayn and Adam Rose just for fun, because I love watching Sami Zayn, but I can't stand Adam Rose, so if they're going to lose, I hope Sami Zayn ends up kicking Adam Rose in the head by accident, and that's what causes it. Not for any additional feud or anything, but just because I want to see Adam Rose get kicked in the head.
Yeah, I think Tyson Kidd is going to cost Sami Zayn any chance at a title shot, just to further their feud.
And that is edit point. I actually had my volume down on Mixler while I gave my response there. So we're going to have I'm going to make a note, and Garvin's going to have to edit that because we're in. Okay.
This is why we need you, Garvin.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that sometimes when you talk, my microphone meter was moving, so I'd turn down my volume so your audio wouldn't go over the waves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but that's not going to get clipped out of the Google Hangout, so what the fuck. Moving on. It's official. Kevin Steen has signed with the WWE. Nick, how excited are you? Please let us know.
So excited. It's long overdue. They've been hinting at this for a long, long time, and now that it's official, I couldn't be happier. It's well deserved, and frankly, it's a little surprising considering that the WWE doesn't hire fat dudes and let them wrestle. See Ricardo Rodriguez, which, interesting enough, Ricardo had a little something to say about the signing. He congratulated Kevin Steen, and he was referencing the picture where Triple H is shaking Steen's hand, and Ricardo hoped that he actually looked Steen in the eyes at some point and didn't call him a fat fuck. So apparently there is some very interesting history between Ricardo and Triple H.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm excited for Kevin Steen. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in the WWE ring. He seemed to be pretty popular from everything that I've read. He got over pretty well with the WWE crew, so that's pretty damn awesome. Nick, was there anything else you wanted to bring up about NXT?
Just that it's going to get awesome fairly soon. We got Kevin Steen in there now. We've recently gotten Kenta and Fergal Devitt. It looks like Solomon Crowe is going to be on TV soon. It's certainly taken long enough, and now that he seems to have a gimmick behind him that they're not going to cut, it looks like he's not far off from debuting. So, yeah, NXT is going to be even more must-watch than it has been.
Here's a quick question. Do you think they're going to keep Kevin Steen with his name, or are they going to give him a new name?
I'm leaning toward they'll keep it, just because it's his real name, and the WWE has kind of gotten away from having everybody wrestle under their own name and be themselves. They've kind of brought back characters, but with the way that they've made big deals about Kenta, about Devitt, about Steen, all of whom wrestle under their own names, and reported them as using their own names, it makes me think that not only will they be wrestling under their own names, but basically as themselves, as the characters they've been using. Obviously, Steen's going to have to water himself down a little bit, just because, I mean, he gets pretty blue when he gives a promo. But I mean, other than that, I think he's basically going to debut as is.
I would definitely agree, especially with the fact that they are announcing these guys with their names, with the names they've been using. So, moving on to TNA. Is it time for the IWC to stop being dicks and accept that TNA is not only producing better matches than WWE, but better stories and garnering better live crowd reactions? And not that piped in stuff, real crowd reactions. Is this the summer of TNA? Hashtag summer of TNA?
Absolutely. It's been well past time for the IWC to stop being dicks, but yeah, TNA has been doing amazing up in New York City, and it's evident to anybody who watches. Even most people that have been down on TNA for the longest time, they're acknowledging it on the Google in the Google community, on the internet at large. So yeah, absolutely, it's way overdue. It's well deserved. TNA is putting on a lot of great content, and people need to recognize that.
Yeah, I mean TNA. Well, I'm not necessarily hearing the live reaction. Although Garvin said when he was there, and if you watched TNA Impact this past Thursday, you might have seen him and Lee in the crowd. Because we did see some screenshots. I did spot Garvin out there. You can't miss the beard in his red I'm an FTW podcast guy T-shirt, which you can buy at ftwpodcast.com/shirts. I'm not necessarily hearing the crowd giving a better reaction, but they're definitely putting on better matches, and there's more of an energy, I think, with TNA lately than the WWE.
Yeah, I mean, that crowd reaction at the end of this week's episode, where prior to that, the loudest chant they ever gave was ECW. And after Dixie took that sick bump through the table, there was a resounding, solid TNA chant from the Manhattan Center crowd in the house that ECW built, no less. If you don't count anything more than that, that crowd reaction is better than anything WWE's gotten in at least since the start of the summer.
Yeah, they've been. Yeah, Dixie going through the table was amazing. I mean, the crowd did pop, and you're right. It is the house that ECW built, and they got that great reaction. I really hope Dixie was wearing a back brace, because she's not used to taking that bump. Granted, if you watched it over and over, Bully's ass took the entire brunt of that table.
Mm-hmm.
But as she makes the impact, she bounces up right on her neck. I saw that, and I'm like, oh, God. Because she's not prepared for that kind of bump. I mean, no matter what she did, she was not prepared for that bump. Unless they were putting her through tables leading up to that.
Yeah, I mean, in kayfabe, they're saying that she broke her back. In reality, they are saying that she does have broken ribs from that impact. And looking at that, I can believe it. I mean, she took that bump hard.
Yes, she did. But props to her for taking that bump, because I don't think anybody really expected her to. We're past that era in wrestling where everybody gets incredibly fucked up. But I'm glad she did it. Everyone's excited for it, and yeah, props to her. It really got the crowd going. It gave them something to promote ahead of time. Which, if you really wanted to see it ahead of time, you just need to go to FTW or YouTube.com/the FTW podcast, and you could have seen it like a month ago. And for those of you asking in the live chat, no, T-shirts are not $9.99. We are not the WWE Network. We are the FTW Podcast Network, consisting of 1.5 shows, being this podcast and Wrestling with Beer. And T-shirts are $15 plus shipping and handling. You can take a look at ftwpodcast.com/shirts. And that link is also in the live chat. If you have suggestions for T-shirts, I know this is slightly off topic, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you have suggestions for shirts, please send them in. Send them to questions@ftwpodcast.com. That'll get to us. We'll take a look at them because we're always looking for ways to spice up that section of the site. The FTW logo's popular. FTW is popular. Has anyone bought a "I Take Candy from Cody's Mustache" T-shirt? I have no idea, but it was still a great shirt. Maybe we need a Cosmic Key T-shirt. I'm not sure. That being said, we're going to go back to TNA. The matchup we wanted, Rude versus Lashley, is going to be happening. Do you think that we're going to get a new champion right away during the upcoming Impact tapings? Or is this going to be our Bound for Glory main event?
I kind of want it to be the Bound for Glory main event. And if we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but if you've been paying attention to TNA news today, TNA has canceled a couple of house shows, and the fact that they're back-to-back, the 26th and 27th, it does make sense that there would be more New York tapings, or at least more Northeast tapings. There's been speculation that it could be returned to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania as well. That would make sense if we wanted to see Rude take the title at Bound for Glory. Because you could fit in some Bound for Glory matches, or Bound for Glory series matches, in that span of time. So I don't think we'll see Rude take the title at this next set of tapings. I think it's going to wait till Bound for Glory.
Fair enough. Deuce is saying new champion Bound for Glory. Robert Carmichael saying Bound for Glory, but it won't be Rude, Joe, or EY. Rude versus MVP in a street fight at Bound for Glory. I could see that.
Didn't we already get that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know we've had Rude versus MVP, and I've thought there was a stipulation to that.
Yeah, it could have been. I could definitely see it being the Bound for Glory main event, but when what's the air date compared to for a match like this compared to Lashley's MMA stint? I have a feeling that Lashley's going to lose it before they do that.
That's a good point.
I went on that reasoning for the Destination X pay-per-view speculation, and I totally flopped that one. So, I mean, I could be completely wrong.
Bellator. Lashley's going to be fighting in Bellator on September 5th. So
yeah, he'd have to lose it now.
Yeah. I mean, unless it was going to be dropped at Bound for Glory, which is in October, there'd be a little bit of a buffer time.
I mean, I guess the only concern I have for it is, let's say Lashley gets screwed up in the match to the point where he can't wrestle.
Yeah, you can never discount that in MMA. It does seem like Lashley is too big and too tough for him to get seriously jacked up, but yeah, you can never discount that.
Although it's being brought up in the live chat, and it was a topic below, TNA canceled 2 live events scheduled for next month. September 26th from Eden, Oklahoma, and September 27th from Salina, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
TNA calls it an unforeseen scheduling conflict, but both shows have been removed. That doesn't mean they're not going to not do shows. It just means that I keep muting my mic. Damn it. Well, I'm sorry, kids. So, yeah, no, TNA canceled 2 live events scheduled for next month, September 26th from Eden, Oklahoma, and September 27th from Salina, Kansas. Unforeseen scheduling conflict. Both shows have been removed from touring schedule. It doesn't mean they're not going to do them in the Impact Zone or Impact Center or the Impact, Universal Studios. They can always do it there. But the only shows that TNA's listing are August 15th to the 17th in Pennsylvania and Maryland, and September 5th and 7th in Virginia and North Carolina. So.
Yeah, man, I strongly believe that those shows, those late September shows are canceled because they're going to go back to New York. David Gilbert with Talk TNA, he contacted the venues, and he got the scheduling conflict, and it sounds like it was on TNA's end that something else came up, because venues are usually pretty decent about not double booking themselves. So
there we go on that one. What else? What else is there to talk about? Samoa Joe is our X Division champion. Good move for the division?
Yeah, not discounting the fact that it's been far too long since Joe has held a title. It seems like it marks a return to the X Division's glory days, because not only is Joe on top holding the title, DJZ's looking good, Manic's been looking good, Tigre Uno's been looking good. Don't know if we'll continue to see Sonata in the X Division or not, but I mean, even if we don't, Low Key and Homicide are back, and it looks like they're back for good since they're on the roster rather than the alumni section. So the X Division is stacked with talent right now, a lot more so than it has been in a long time. So Joe's going to have plenty of decent contenders, and we might even see Kenny King make an appearance too if he's not too busy being MVP's lackey.
Yeah, that would be freaking awesome. Or, I'm sorry, that'd be freaking sweet. X Division with Joe. I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think he'd get the championship again. I mean, oh my God, this is like blows my mind. The doors are blown off the bus. There's, confetti everywhere. Joe's gonna kill everyone. He's gonna end up holding the title long enough to cash in for Option C and win the title. And then it's gonna be the year of Joe. And oh my God, I think I'm having a stroke. No, I think it's good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on with it. Moving on, TNA Knockout Rebel from the Menagerie fractured her arm while competing in her first match for the company, a Battle Royal taped last week at the Manhattan Center in New York City. This match will end up airing in September. So do you think this is going to be a problem for TNA, or do you think it's just going to kind of blow right by it?
I think it's just going to be a blip on the radar. I'm not even sure we'll actually see the moment. TNA will probably do some creative editing, and this will just be something you find in dirt sheets. And I mean, it sucks for Rebel that her very first match basically puts her on the shelf for who knows how long, but that's wrestling.
That is true. Because, shit happens. It's wrestling. If it was going to be safe, they'd just call it a buffer alert. Alrighty. So, holy crap. Is there anything else we want to talk about TNA here?
I'm kind of interested in where things are going with Chris Melendez, the war veteran that they made a big deal about signing. I haven't heard any rumors about what he's doing on his debut. I haven't dug in any spoilers. I don't really go in for that. But I don't know. He seems like he's a fairly big guy. Just pictures I've seen of him kind of puts me in mind of Matt Morgan. I don't see him being necessarily the giant or being used in that role like Matt Morgan was, but it seems like TNA is putting a lot behind him. and he's definitely done a good job of promoting them on TV, in interviews. So I think it'll be interesting to see where they go with this.
Fair enough. Uh, yeah, I would like to see what they're going to do with him, um, given the fact that he's got the the leg deal.
The
Um,
Kajigger.
the what?
The Kajigger.
Yeah, the Kajigger. Well, if we get the Kajigger, I mean, does this open them up to try and sign Zach Gowen for battle for, I don't know, who gets to be the one-legged champion or something? I don't know. I actually think that would be impressive to see because I mean I've seen Zach Russell live. He's extremely talented. Watching him do a moonsault in those really extremely hard, like almost like fiberglass chairs from elementary school. Totally missing the dude he was supposed to hit too. He had no cushion and just took that like full brunt. Amazing. Still finished the match against, I believe it was the Syrian Playboy, whoever the fuck that was. I have no idea.
That sounds like it'd be one of the Davari brothers.
You'd think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where one of the if they actually did train in Michigan,
Yeah, I don't know.
so I'll have to look that up. Blah, 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 from Minneapolis, Minnesota. No, it doesn't look like it.
Deuce reminded me, Jessica Havoc. She's definitely gonna shake things up in the Knockouts division.
That is true. I forgot all about that one.
Yeah, I like the vignettes. It fits in really well with her gimmick, the whole Resident Evil deal, and the direction they could take with how she's used. There are a few different ones, I think. Um, and I think the easiest one for her would be gunning for the beautiful people. It, it seems very reminiscent of what Awesome Kong did, targeting the quote unquote pretty girls, and for that matter, it sounds a lot like what Karma did with the Bella Twins over in the WWE. It seems like uh, women wrestlers in that mold kind of take on that role. And I could also see her having some amazing matches with ODB too. That'd be a slobber knocker.
That definitely would. No, I would like to see Jessica Havoc tear it up in the TNA. You know, give it a new feel in the women's division, the knockouts division, the whatever division you want to call it, where women are wrestling and kicking ass, because they do need a spark in that division. It used to be something worth watching on TNA. It used to be almost as good as the X division, and both of them seemed to be better than their world title picture at one point. It can be done. They could do it again. They just need the right talent, and I think Jessica Havoc is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, the knockouts need more diversity in personality. Diversity in personality, not and. Uh, because while Brittany is definitely a very talented wrestler, she's not really that different in gimmick from Madison Rayne or the Beautiful People, or well, I should say her character's not really that different. We need more diversity there, like we had with Taylor Wilde and Roxy Laveau and Awesome Kong and all those past knockouts. And Jessica Havoc is a great step in that direction.
Cool. Well, since apparently I was not smart enough to gather Ask FTW questions, uh, Nick, are you ready for Win Fail?
I believe so.
And for your win of the week, Nicholas, what is your win of the week?
My win of the week has to be the reaction from Christopher Daniels and Kazarian to the Brie versus Stephanie segment. Uh, Christopher Daniels' reaction was Kaz and I had nothing to do with that, not our idea. And Kaz posted his deja vu reaction pic. It's very entertaining stuff. If you follow them on Twitter, definitely look that up. I was rolling. That was pure genius.
Awesome. My win of the week was the Dean Ambrose coming out of the Hogan present. Only because, like, Rollins checked it first. And I was like, ha 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 ha, okay, he's now, ha ha. And then bam. Ambrose's promo afterwards, I think, was good in the fact that it got the point across. It didn't have any filler. It was done. And it fit the maniacal add into the character. Wins from the live chat. Impact the entire show. Okada winning the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 tournament. TNA, Jeff Jarrett joins the Bullet Club and Brock Lesnar's promo. TNA and the NXT call-ups. Yeah, another vote for Impact. Impact was very popular this week. Moving on to fails. Live chat, get him in. I'm going to go first. My fail is going to be the Claire Lynch chick. Really, you couldn't have got anyone better to do that role. It just wasn't convincing, and I have a higher standard for WWE in that aspect. You've got more money to throw around than TNA. You should be able to find a better actress. I mean, don't get me wrong. With Claire Lynch, TNA wasn't off the hook either. That was abysmal. But, yeah, that would be it. Nick, what's your fail?
It's very much in line with that. Both of the segments with Brie and Stephanie they weren't necessarily bad. It was just uninspired, I think. And as I've said, basically throughout the show, it robbed me of a lot of the interest I had for this feud. So, yeah, like you said, the WWE has so much more pull in who they can hire, even just for a one-off. And I don't know, with as many people as I have going through their performance center, they should have been able to find somebody that could kind of fit, that they could just use for one-off and then develop more and repackage. And when they came back, nobody would even recognize that former incarnation of themselves. So, very bad form, WWE. Very bad form.
Fails from the live chat. WWE apparently dropping Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods stable. Deuce Leslie brings up, he seconds my fail and raises me Steph. WWE Raw has been dragging. I agree completely, and that's what happens when you have a 3-hour Raw every week, which is the same length as a pay-per-view. Jeff Jarrett joining the Bullet Club being a massive fail for that, as that group's becoming NWO when Vincent joined. Fucking Virgil. The entire Raw show except for Heyman's promo. Brie Bella's promo. The Wood Stable being dropped. Alberto Del Rio being released for slapping someone. Everything that came out about that, the guy made a dickhead comment, racist comment, but I still don't think Del Rio needed to slap him. I think they were really looking for just a final straw to get rid of him. You could say they were waiting for the affirmative action thing. I don't think that's true, but I think they were waiting, they wanted to get rid of him. They weren't doing anything with him. He's kind of a dick. Hey, they found a reason he's gone. Another fail, Ambrose tossing in the $9.99 reference for his promo. I thought it was funny. I enjoyed that. So, go ahead, Nick.
No, no. I mean, I've got something to say about the Del Rio deal, but
Go
I can
for it.
say that for final thought. Okay.
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 I mean, we're
Um,
going to jump right into final thoughts if you if you're not going to say anything, so go for it.
yeah. I'm kind of in line with you as there are no innocent parties in that whole thing. Yeah, the social media guy was being a dick, and after Del Rio got fired, he was even more dickish, assuming that was the guy in charge of the WWE Twitter feed. But there's no call for a wrestler to slap a coworker backstage. There are protocols for that thing. That's why HR exists, human resources, and Del Rio has a history of this sort of thing. He has a history of getting into fights, confronting people needlessly. And a year ago, almost to the day of the incident, he got into that bar fight where he got that black eye that we all saw for weeks and weeks. The same fight that Drew McIntyre saved his ass from only getting a black eye. And it sounds like Del Rio's just got some impulse control issues, which, I mean, admittedly, the WWE doesn't need much of a reason to let anybody go at this point. But yeah, I'm not surprised that Del Rio got fired because of this. For the social media guy, I think he needs some kind of action taken against him, not just for the racist comment, but for what he did using the company's Twitter feed to basically carry out his vendetta against Del Rio and get in one last little dig against a guy who can't really defend himself against it. It's it's childish, and the dude's already been fired. I mean, you can afford to hold the salt and not rub it into the wound.
Fair enough. Yeah. My final thought. It's going to be. I know Richard's been saying in the live chat that that he's had some issues with the audio tonight. I'm sorry if there have been issues. I don't normally broadcast, and it's a completely different setup from when Garvin streams. So my final thought is thanks for sticking through this show because I don't normally stream, and I hope the audio came out decently for everyone. I guess Richard's been having a problem for a while with the audio, so we're going to see what we can do to get that remedied for you. Uh, my only question then becomes is there a slider in your computer that's turned down low, so even though you turn it to max volume, maybe something else is still restricting your audio. So maybe hit Garvin or I up on the Facebook or the Twitter, or email Joe at FTWpodcast.com, Garvin at FTWpodcast.com. Maybe we can sort this thing out for you. And that is the show. Go check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. And join us live each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on FTWLive.com. For myself, Nick, and everyone in the live chat, we will see you next Tuesday. Have a good
There
one.
you go.